Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're diving into the world of AI in 2024, and we've got the Stanford HAI AI Index report to guide us. It's like our roadmap through all the fascinating stats and sometimes surprising trends.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see where AI is at right now and where it's headed.
Okay, so the first thing that jumped out at me was this idea that AI is booming, but maybe not in the way a lot of people think. We see these headlines about AI taking over the world, but the report paints a little bit of a different picture.
Right, and what's really interesting is that overall private investment in AI actually declined. It's the second year in a row that's happened. But at the same time, investment in generative AI absolutely exploded. It reached $25.2 billion.
Wow, 25.2 billion.
Yeah, that's almost 8 times what it was in 2022.
8 times. So generative AI, it's not just hype.
Definitely not.
People are putting serious money behind it. I guess tools like ChatGPT and Daily are really capturing everyone's imagination.
Yeah, I think they've become the face of AI for a lot of people. These are tools that people can actually use and play around with. It's like the public is finally getting a taste of what AI can really do, and investors are noticing that.
But here's what I don't get. Even with that dip in overall AI investment, the number of newly funded AI companies actually went up. Like, it shot up by over 40%. How does that make sense?
Yeah, it seems like investors are being a lot more choosy now. They're really zeroing in on specific areas of AI where they see the biggest potential for growth, like generative AI. It's almost like a gold rush, but for particular types of AI.
I see. So they're being strategic. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's the investment landscape. But what about the AI tech itself? I mean, are the robots about to rise up and take our jobs?
Not quite yet, but AI models are definitely getting smarter, especially when it comes to things like understanding images and language. For example, Google's Gemini Ultra just made history. It's the first AI to beat humans on the MMLU benchmark.
Okay, full disclosure, I have no idea what the MMLU is.
Oh, so it's a test that covers 57 different subjects, everything from science and math to history and literature. It's designed to see how well a model can understand and reason across all sorts of topics. You can almost think of it as an IQ test for AI.
So this Gemini Ultra thing basically aced an IQ test. So does that mean it's officially smarter than us?
Well, it's not that straightforward.
Oh.
AI is becoming really good at specific tasks, but it still struggles with things that come naturally to humans, like complex reasoning, things like high-level math, planning, that sort of thing. So it's not really about overall intelligence, it's more about different types of intelligence.
So like comparing apples and oranges.
Exactly. They both have their strengths.
Okay, that makes sense. But even though AI might not be taking over the world tomorrow, the speed of its development is still pretty mind-blowing.
Oh, absolutely.
Speaking of evolving, the report talks about this rise of something called multimodal AI. What is that?
It's actually pretty cool. So traditionally, AI systems have been kind of one-trick ponies. You have models that are really good at processing text, and then other models are good at understanding images.
They each have their specialty.
Right, exactly. But multimodal AI is all about breaking down those walls. So now systems like Google's Gemini and OpenAI's GPT-4 can handle both text and images, even audio in some cases.
So wait, instead of just asking an AI to write me a poem,
Yeah.
I could ask it to write a poem and then illustrate it too.
Exactly. Or you could have it watch a video and then summarize the key points for you. The possibilities are pretty amazing because now AI can interact with the world in a richer, more human-like way.
It really makes you wonder what those possibilities might be.
Oh yeah, like imagine personalized education that adapts to how you learn best. Or, computer interfaces that understand your voice and gesture.
I can see where this is going.
Yeah, the potential is pretty huge.
Okay, but with AI becoming so good at creating things, how do we even judge what's good and what's not anymore? I mean, are those simple benchmarks still enough?
That's a great question, and increasingly the answer is no. When you're dealing with AI that can create realistic images or write compelling stories or compose music, those old metrics like accuracy or speed just don't cut it anymore.
Yeah, it's like, how do you measure the quality of a poem or, the creativity of a painting?
Right, exactly. It's subjective.
Totally.
And that's where human judgment comes in.
It's interesting you say that because this idea of multiple perspectives is something our listeners connect with a lot. It seems like human opinions are actually becoming more valuable in this space, not less.
I think you're right. We're seeing this reflected in how AI models are being evaluated now. Like the chatbot arena leaderboard actually lets people vote on which chatbot they think is better. It's a head-to-head competition.
That's really interesting. So it's almost like AI is becoming more of an art form. And we're all developing this taste for what good AI looks and sounds like.
I think there's something to that. And the more people engage with AI, the more we can collectively help shape its development in a positive direction.
That's a really optimistic way to look at it. But of course, the report also talks about some of the potential dangers of AI, especially when it comes to things like bias.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a valid concern. As AI becomes more powerful and more integrated into our lives, we really need to be mindful of those risks. But, maybe that's a conversation for after a quick break. We'll be back in a moment to explore that and a lot more.
Sounds good. We were just talking about some of those potential risks of AI. And I got to say, the report doesn't really sugarcoat things. Like, it brings up this idea that AI could actually run out of data to learn from, which sounds kind of crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, it is a fascinating concept, because most AI today is trained on these massive data sets of human-created content, right? Text, images, code.
Basically everything we put out there.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes you wonder what happens when AI starts generating more content than humans do.
Whoa. Like a snake eating its own tail.
Exactly. And that's where it gets really interesting, because the report doesn't give us any easy answers. It just raises the question, almost as a challenge, something to think about.
It is kind of unsettling, but I got to admit, it's also exciting in a way. It's like we're on the verge of something completely new.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that the future of AI isn't set in stone. We're all actively shaping it right now.
Okay, so besides worrying about AI devouring all the data, what else does the report highlight in terms of potential downsides?
One thing that stood out to me was this lack of standardized ways to assess AI, specifically for things like fairness and transparency. Different developers test their models in different ways.
So there's no consistency.
Right. And that makes it really hard to compare different AI systems and to understand the potential risks of each one.
Yeah, it's like trying to compare apples and oranges.
Exactly. Everyone's using a different measuring stick.
And that seems like a problem.
It can be, especially when you think about how much AI is already being used in important decisions.
Like what kind of decisions?
Well, things like hiring, loan applications, even criminal justice.
Oh, wow. So those are high stakes.
They are. And the report really emphasizes the need for more transparency and accountability in how we develop AI.
So basically, we need some rules of the road.
I think that's a good way to put it.
So like an ethical rule book for AI.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that. Now, shifting gears a bit, the report also talks about how AI is being used to drive scientific discovery. And it's happening really fast. It's not just AI being used in products anymore. It's actually helping scientists make new discoveries.
It really is one of the most exciting areas of AI research right now. We're seeing AI being used to create faster algorithms, discover new materials, even improve weather forecasting.
Okay, so give me some specific examples, like what cool things is AI helping scientists do?
Well, there's AlphaDev, which was developed by DeepMind, and it creates algorithms for faster sorting.
Okay, so what does that mean in the real world?
Well, it has implications for everything from managing databases to logistics.
So basically making things run more smoothly and efficiently.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
And then there's GenoME, which is being used to discover new materials with very specific properties.
Wow, so that could really revolutionize things.
Oh, absolutely. Feels like materials science and manufacturing.
It's almost like having a robot lab assistant that can test out thousands of possibilities at once.
That's a great way to put it.
I like that.
What else?
Well, there's GraphCast, which is an AI-powered weather forecasting system, and it's already outperforming the existing systems in terms of accuracy.
So AI is helping us predict the weather more reliably.
That's right.
That's impressive.
It's a great example of how AI can be used to improve our understanding of the world.
And potentially even save lives.
Absolutely, and these are just a few examples. As AI continues to evolve, the potential for groundbreaking discoveries is really limitless.
It's amazing to think about. But it also makes me wonder, with all these advancements, is there a risk of falling behind?
That's where the global landscape of AI becomes really important. The report highlights how different regions are approaching AI in different ways. Okay, so what does that look like? Like, who's leading the charge?
Well, one of the key takeaways is that the U.S. is currently ahead in terms of overall investment.
By how much?
So in 2023, the U.S. invested a whopping $67.2 billion in AI.
Okay.
Compared to China's investment of $7.7 billion.
Wow, that's almost 9 times more. It sounds like the U.S. is really going all in on AI.
They are, and that dominance and investment is likely to lead to even more advancements, more innovation within the U.S. AI ecosystem.
Okay, but hold on. Didn't you mention earlier that China's actually leading in something? Robotics?
Yes, that's right. While the U.S. might be ahead in investment, China is definitely the leader when it comes to industrial robotics. They surpassed Japan back in 2013, and they've been widening the gap ever since.
So it's like we're seeing this kind of split focus. The U.S. leading in AI research and development, while China focuses on the practical applications of AI in manufacturing.
I think that's a good observation.
Okay, so what are the long-term implications of that?
Well, that's a big question. Will the U.S. be able to translate its research dominance into real economic gains? And can China close the gap in AI research and development? These are all questions that we need to consider.
It sounds like we're witnessing the early stages of a global AI race.
In a way, I think we are. What's clear is that AI is becoming a key factor in global competitiveness. The nations that can effectively harness the power of AI are going to be the ones that thrive in the coming decades.
So there's a lot at stake here.
Oh, absolutely. And, it's not just about which country has the most advanced AI. It's about how we, as a global society, choose to develop and use this technology.
Right, and that brings us back to that idea of human judgment and ethical considerations.
Yeah.
It sounds like those are going to be even more important as AI continues to evolve.
I couldn't agree more. As AI becomes more powerful and more integrated into our lives, the human element becomes even more critical. We need people who understand not just the technical capabilities of AI, but also its potential impact on society and culture.
People who can think critically.
Exactly. We need people who can guide its development in a direction that benefits all of humanity.
That's a tall order.
It is, but it's also an incredible opportunity to be part of shaping the future of AI.
And that's something we can all be a part of.
Yeah.
It really feels like we're at a crossroads with AI. There's so much potential, but also all these big questions about how we manage it all responsibly.
Yeah, it's a bit like we're standing on the edge of this new frontier. It's exciting, but also maybe a little bit daunting.
Totally. And we've talked a lot about how AI is changing things in fields like science. But what about the everyday impact on people like our listeners? How is AI already affecting their lives?
Well, I think AI is a lot more pervasive than most people realize. It's working behind the scenes in so many ways, from the recommendations you see online to the algorithms that determine your credit score. It's even being used to personalize healthcare and education.
Wow, it's like this invisible hand guiding so many parts of our lives.
In a way, yeah. And as AI gets even more sophisticated, that influence is only going to grow.
So it's not just about, those flashy headlines about robots and self-driving cars. AI is already woven into our everyday lives.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to be informed, to understand what's happening, and to engage in the conversation about AI. The choices we make today are going to shape the future of this technology and how it impacts society as a whole.
So for our listeners out there who are maybe feeling a little overwhelmed by all this, what can they do to become more active participants in this AI revolution?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's about staying curious. Read articles, listen to podcasts like this one, attend events, ask questions. The more you learn about AI, the better equipped you'll be to deal with its impact on your life.
Knowledge is power, right?
Absolutely, especially in a world where AI is becoming so influential.
True.
And, don't be afraid to get your hands dirty a little bit. There are tons of free resources and tools online where you can actually learn about AI, even experiment with it yourself.
It's almost like learning a new language.
Yeah, exactly. The more you immerse yourself, the more fluent you'll become.
And what about connecting with others?
Oh, yeah, that's crucial too. Talk to your friends, family, colleagues. Share your thoughts, your concerns, even your hopes about the future of AI.
It's like anything else. The more voices we have in the conversation, the better the outcome's going to be.
I completely agree. The future of AI isn't predetermined. It's something we're all shaping together with every choice we make.
That's a powerful thought. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of AI, what's the one big takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with today?
I think it's this. AI is a really powerful tool. It has the potential for incredible good, but also the potential for harm. And it's up to all of us to make sure that it's developed and used responsibly, ethically, and in a way that benefits all of humanity.
That's a great message to end on. Thanks so much for joining us on this deep dive.
It was my pleasure.
And to all our listeners out there, we encourage you to keep learning and keep questioning. Keep diving deep into this fascinating world of AI. We'll see you next time.